Well, sound the alarm. We have a 5-star movie to talk about this weekend. Some other good ones too.
Yeah.
As we dive into the screening room. So welcome. Let's do it.
Are either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
He's sorry. You waste our film. It's so bad.
Do we have an alarm for a 5-star movie?
We should.
We should get on that. We should ask the production department to whip one up, some sort of alarm. But that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
It is.
I think the closest one probably would have been Sinners. Was that 4.5?
4.5. Yeah, 4.5.
That maybe should have been 5.
It maybe should have been 5.
We have to talk about that
Yeah.
somewhat. But welcome. Yeah, we've got some good ones for the big screen and for streaming this week. So let's get into it. Let's start with one we've been looking for. It's been getting a lot of hype too. And we'll see if it lives up to the hype. Hint, it does.
Let's start off in theaters. When their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years, a group of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue one of their own's daughter. The latest from Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another.
And by the way, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com. I was so preoccupied with this 5-star alarm thing that I forgot to introduce ourselves. Welcome. This is the Screening Room Podcast. And yeah, 5 stars for One Battle After Another. It is great. Yes, right at the top, it's 2 hours and 41 minutes. That's long, but I didn't think it felt long at all. I was engaged throughout the whole thing.
Yes. So, and probably full disclosure, I feel like I should always. So Paul Thomas Anderson, my all-time favorite filmmaker. I think every single movie that he's made has been an absolute masterpiece. Even the ones that not everybody likes, like Inherent Vice.
That's the only one that I really don't. You know, maybe I should watch it again too, because I'm with you. I love his film.
Yeah.
That one just didn't hit me. And it's interesting because Inherent Vice is also based on a Thomas Pynchon novel, as this one is.
Yeah. On Vineland, which compared the revolutionary spirit of the 1960s with Reagan's re-election in '84. So in this film, the time span is a little closer together. But DiCaprio is part of a counter-revolutionary group, terrorist organization, really, around the time of George W. Bush's administration, and they target mainly sort of his border policies, but not exclusively. And things get a little out of hand. And Sean Penn, who is so good in this movie as Colonel Lockjaw.
Stephen Lockjaw. What a name.
Perfect.
That's a great name.
So he wreaks some havoc early on, and then 16 years later, through some very fascinating, often funny hijinks, he decides he needs to now find Bob and Bob's now 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah, DiCaprio is Bob.
Yes, and it's an interesting story, because the first part of the film, I'd say probably 40 minutes or more of the film, takes place in the early part, right? Sort of the 16 years ago, and it's got such a great almost 70s thriller vibe about it. It's full of action. It's quicker cuts. It's funny, but it's mainly just sort of white knuckle. What's going on? What's going to happen next? And then when they switch gears after the 16 years, it's again. I mean, it's so the tonal shift is so beautifully handled. Not everyone could do that, but Bob DiCaprio, without much else to do over the last 16 years in Oregon, which is where they moved off the grid, he's been smoking a lot of pot, doing a lot of drinking. And he's not all there upstairs anymore. And this is one of the things, I mean, I know he's a great actor, obviously, DiCaprio is. My favorite performances of his are when he just plays a dumbass. Ever since Django Unchained, when he came out, just this vainglorious moron, do not spare the rum. I'm like, this is the one I like. And with Once Upon a Time in the West, and he's just not
in America.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
In Hollywood,
we're gonna name all the wrong movies.
All the ones.
But he's in the second half of this movie, when he's just sort of a dope, and that's when they pair him up with Benicio del Toro, who is so laid back.
He runs like a karate studio where DiCaprio's daughter is taking classes.
Yeah.
And he's great. That's when, like you said, that's when it becomes more funny. And that's I have to think back to that first round of trailers that they ran for this movie. If you remember seeing the first round of trailers, it made you think that this was just a madcap romp, and it is funny. But then after, I don't know, a few weeks, it seemed like they totally, they got some focus groups back or something, because the marketing department totally switched gears on the trailers for this movie. But when you do move into the area of more present day, when Del Toro comes in, it does get funny. And when DiCaprio has to get pulled back into the life to rescue his daughter, and then he has to go through these passwords that he has long forgotten due to all the weed and time. And so this one guy in particular won't give him the coordinates that he needs. And later he gets a little payback, and it's very funny, very funny. So it does become a part of a comedy, but not the one that those early trailers made you think of. They were very strange.
My guess is that I'm thinking about just all of them. Anderson movies would be hard to market.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of how do they market the Phantom Thread? Because I guarantee whatever movie I saw was not the one I thought I was going to see.
It just seemed like it was one of those where they decided we're going to go with this, and they got some early word back. No, scrap that entirely.
Yeah.
So they started to go with just a heavy, you've probably noticed, social media campaign leading up to this movie to give it a lot of hype. And I know a lot of people feel that way. Oh, it's overhyped, but it really lives up to it.
Because it's funny, they're actually there's a very silly comedy with Del Toro and DiCaprio, but then when you sort of introduce this villainous element, it's almost farcical. It's so over the top and funny. Mm-hmm. And the fact that is balanced as well as it is with genuine social commentary and drama, action. This is one of the best car chases.
Oh man,
I've ever seen filmed.
What a great car chase!
Oh my god, it is a white knuckle car chase. It's so good.
Great car chase.
I mean, his movies characteristically, it's just amazingly shot. Mm-hmm. The choices that he makes when things are going to move and when they're not going to move, and I mean, it's just amazingly shot. And there are so many characters in this movie, and every single one, the performance is just jaw-dropping.
We haven't even mentioned in the early part,
Teyana
Taylor is incredibly good. Just as you said, just sets the screen on fire, just burns a hole in it.
And
she's perfect.
And one of the things I find interesting about that, because you think it would be intimidating, she has to be the most intimidating presence on screen in all of her screen time. That's just who her character is. Now, for an actor, she's playing against not only DiCaprio, but Sean Penn. It's a lot of Oscars to be like, no, I'm the one everybody's going to look at in this scene, and yet she is. I mean, she owns.
She's great. And then
she's
in a smaller role, Regina Hall, who's always great, And then a newcomer once she gets to be a teenager, Chase Infinity.
Yeah, she was really good too.
Really, she plays DiCaprio's daughter.
Yeah,
and all the way down. Everybody's great. Yeah. The characters are memorable. The dialogue is great. It takes these twists and these turns that keep you engaged all throughout the 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And leading to that car chase and how it ends was just fantastic. Yeah. Love that. So some things that I did not see coming. A couple things I did, but that's okay.
Yeah.
With a story like this. But it is really, really up there with his best. And he has made some really good ones.
Yes.
Really good ones.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. I just, I really can't recommend this one highly enough. I just loved every minute of it.
Agreed. And this is certainly one to see. We say this all the time, but see it on
the big screen. It's just a cinematic masterpiece. Really deserves, especially a car chase, but the whole movie, it deserves a big screen.
Because especially a movie that's 2 hours and 40 minutes and you watch it at home, that's going to be even more. You're going to stop it and move and do something else. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but a movie like this, you need to really just live in it. Just live in it and get involved in all these characters and what they're doing and the crisscrossing of time. Yeah. And and you really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it
because there are so many. I think it's the human, like the human details that you might miss because there's so much going on in every scene, but it's that grounds this, to me, that makes this maybe his most relevant film, like his most of the moment relevant film. And it's because beneath all of the insanity, all of the action sequences, all of the silly comedy, there is so much additional detail that grounds this that you might not notice at all if you're not paying close attention. So go see it in theater.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because it reminds me of the difference between, there's another movie that we saw recently that wants to do some very much in the moment commentating and just comes off often like it's trying too hard to do that, which we'll talk about a couple weeks down the line. This one doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way at all, but it is very relevant, and it speaks on its own terms. So yeah, 5-star alarm. We got to get to work on that. But in the meantime, we love one battle after another.
Next in theaters, after a devastating loss, witty and profound, troublesome Eleanor Morgenstein, 94, tells a tale that takes on a dangerous life of its own. From director Scarlett Johansson, it's Eleanor the Great.
Who else has a mom in their 90s that's a pistol? Is that just me? Because if you do, this is going to land even better for you. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. This is her first feature, and
As a director,
and
she's not in it. She's not
in it. That's right. Written by Tori Kamen, and it's so sweet. It's a good first effort for Scarlett Johansson as a director, and yeah, June Squibb. 94-year-old June Squibb.
Yeah, it's so funny. She's always the reason to see a movie. Always. I'm like, oh, June Squibb. Yeah, I'm going.
She's great, and she is Eleanor, and she is 94 years old, and she has been living with her best friend for several years, 11 or 12 years, in this sort of retirement home, and they have a nice, little life, and Scarlett gets a nice shot on their 2 pairs of Velcro shoes, because women this old, you got to have the Velcro shoes. So nice little touches like that. But then unfortunately the friend passes away, and June has to move. She said for the first time ever, 94 years old, she's moving to Manhattan. Lived in New York for a long time, but never in Manhattan. So she has to do that. And her daughter sets her up with some activities. And one of those activities is going down and spending some time trying to make some friends at the local Jewish center. And one thing leads to another, and she's visited by a young NYU student, journalism student, who wants to, after listening to her talk in one of these group sessions at the Jewish center, wants to spotlight her on her story about, as a Holocaust survivor, the story that she has told to the group. And so June does that, Eleanor does that, and it just so happens that the journalism student's father, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor,
always great. He's always great.
Is a local TV news guy, and so he reads his daughter's story and is very interested as well. So he wants to hear Eleanor's story and give her a wider audience, and things spiral a little bit, and Eleanor starts getting the type of attention and fame that she wasn't quite expecting, and it leads to some interesting consequences, and we'll leave it at that. But it's just so sweet, and the performances are great, and it really is a movie about loss, about grief, about moving on and honoring the person or the people that are gone, but still moving on with your life and not letting it affect the relationships that you still have here with the people that are living. And that includes Eleanor and her family, but also Chiwetel and his daughter, who have been having a hard time because they recently lost their wife/mother. And so they've been having a hard time dealing with each other since that happened. So it's a lot of that, and it is so sweet. It has some problems. You mentioned tonal shifts in one battle after another. There are a couple of moments here where the tonal shifts are a little abrupt, and what just happened? But other than that, if you just want a nice adult, and bring the tissues, because this one will, it's very sweet. And of course, June Squibb is just a hoot, and they give her a lot to be a hoot about. And again, especially if you have an much older parent, this will hit home a little bit. But a nice directorial effort for Scarlett Johansson. I think she was smart enough not to tackle something that was too showy. It's very, very, it's crafted very well, character driven. Yeah. Nice, those little touches, like I said, about the Velcro shoes and things like that, to do a little bit of visual storytelling. So yeah, nice, very nice all around. Has a couple of moments here and there, but a nice family and tearjerker. Be ready for that. But and June Squibb is great as always as Eleanor the Great. That's in theaters.
Also in select theaters this weekend, before debuting on Apple TV October 3rd, a wayward school bus driver and a dedicated school teacher battle to save 22 children from a terrifying inferno, The Lost Bus.
Who's a sucker for the true life survival stories?
Yeah,
That'd be me.
This guy.
But you know what? Especially when they're directed by Paul Greengrass.
Yeah, because he really has a knack. He really has a knack for them.
Look at the ones he's done. I mean, Captain Phillips.
Mhm.
He also did United 93,
Yeah.
Bloody Sunday.
Oh yeah.
I think there's at least one more that I'm forgetting. I mean, he's done other things too, the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
But he's good at this.
He is, because you know what? He doesn't so often. It's hard not to get super sentimental. And I think that he manages to skirt that.
Yeah. And bring the action.
Yeah.
And this one does that. It's based on true events from 2018. A fire was called the Camp Fire. Catastrophic, killed 85 people, destroyed most of the homes in this city, Paradise, California, in Northern California. So when we first come in, he does a good job organically setting up the scene. It's been over 200 days since they had any rain. They've got high wind gust warnings up to 90 miles per hour. And then you see this power grid fail and it sparks. And then sparks hit the ground, the wind kicks up. And that's amazing. That's just the start of the effects in this movie that are just great. You're showing the embers, showing the wind, feeling the wind, and then the flames. And it's up and running. And in this area with these extreme conditions, before you know it, it's overwhelming the police department. And we meet Matthew McConaughey, plays a school bus driver, and he's got a lot going on in his life, a lot. And the script, which Greengrass did co-write, it really throws a lot at us in terms of look how tortured he is. I mean, really too much in the hands of a lesser actor, because they want to get to the action, obviously. But so, okay, we get it. He's tortured, he's troubled. And then we also meet a school teacher, America Ferrera, kind of the same thing. We want to meet her quickly and let's get going, because as the flames engulf this whole town and evacuation orders set in, we find out there's this class, America Ferrera's class of 22 kids. Well, 23, but one parent comes and reaches them. So you get 23 on the bus, and they have to get them through the fire to their waiting parents at a safe campground that they've set up. So you got to get through this flames and the backup and the gridlock, and it's really gripping. It really is. The effects through the fire are amazing. Yeah. And even though, as we said, this one does come out next weekend on Apple TV, here's another one. See it on the big screen. If you really love this type of stuff, you'll really feel it.
I think you'll miss so much of the effects of the cinematography and the fire effects. Yeah.
So gripping. And you know what? It's a bus. So some of these, I thought of those bus sequences in Sorcerer from '77. William Friedkin.
That's a good film to conjure up if you can manage
if
that.
you can even get in the ballpark, and this doesn't surpass that.
No.
But if you can even get in the ballpark when the bus is trying to maneuver around this ledge here and there's fires here, it brought it to mind. And you're right, that's saying something. But the performances, the two main performances, are very good, and it's the action, it's the effects, and the way Greengrass, if you've seen his films, you know it's the shaky cam, it's the quick cuts, but it gets you inside this flame and these flames, and especially if you see it on the big screen and you love these survival stories as I do, and it's led by two really strong actors in two really strong performances. Recommendation for The Lost Bus. Again, October 3rd, it'll be on Apple TV, but it's in select theaters now, and recommend that one.
Also in theaters, on the final day of their cross-country road trip, a couple's vehicle breaks down, forcing them to take refuge in a remote Airbnb. As night falls, 3 masked strangers terrorize them until dawn. It's The Strangers, Chapter 2.
Rennie Harlan gets this one. I'm always going to have a soft spot for Rennie Harlan because of Die Hard 2.
I know that you will.
He did Die Hard 2, did he?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's had some hits and some misses, and he's been
for a lot of people it's the long
Kiss Goodnight. You're right. Long Kiss Goodnight. But I did not realize so recently that he was doing this part 2, because part 1 was Brian. Didn't he do the reboot? Brian Bertino?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
I think Rennie Harlan did
Did he do the first one?
I think he did the first one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Let's look real quick.
I'm entirely confused. Yeah, because I knew this was being redone as a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And so, for some reason, I thought that, he did chapter 1.
did.
Okay, just ignore me.
Right after the Bricklayer.
I did see that.
We're scrolling real quick over his IMDb. He's not made a good movie in quite a long
The
time.
Bricklayer.
And this is no different. Strangers chapter 2 is not any. It's the Strangers. The Strangers. Brian Bertino's The Strangers is one of the absolute all-time best home invasion horror films you're ever going to see, and part of it is because it was so gorgeously shot. And his shot choices and when he went wide and when he went narrow, it's so unnerving. And it was before the Purge, so those masks were brand new. The idea of it and the way it ended, and and then they did a few years.
That one shocking death.
Yeah.
That's why I had Bertino on my mind, because he did the first one.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Yes.
Really creepy. From the moment they do is Tamara.
Oh yeah.
We say that to each other all the time.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, and you don't have that many horror movies that are genuinely terrifying. I love everything Brian Bertino has done. If you haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked, do it right now. And then the second one actually was made quite a few years later. Strangers Pray at Night,
right.
Which is a sequel. And I believe these are all prequels, if I'm not misremembering. But Strangers Pray at Night, a lot of people liked it. I think I didn't. There was one really nicely shot sequence at a
swimming pool,
and all the rest of it was garbage. Although it had a good cast, but it was a garbage movie. These are below garbage movies. The Strangers Chapter 1 was just really a carbon copy of The Strangers. It's just a couple, and they ended up at this, Airbnb, and they're so in love, and blah, 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 blah. And then these people come with their masks on, so it's just, but it's not very beautifully shot. And you get enough backstory that it's not surprising. You're not, although the further along you get into a horror franchise, the more penned in you are by the fact that you're not surprising anybody anymore. And that's where most of the scares come from. So I understand that. I really do. This one, rather than Strangers Chapter 2, rather than being sort of like another reboot of The Strangers, this one is actually sort of a reboot of Halloween 2, because we're in the hospital with her, the survivor, the day after all of the bad things that happen. And the killers find out she's there. So there's, and it's, I'm going to say, I think I liked it better than Strangers Chapter 1, because Chapter 1 was such just a pale new version of The Strangers that I was like, why are we even watching this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why? So at least this one is Halloween 2. I mean, it's not very original either, but, and it takes you a lot of different places. Like geographically, we spent a lot of time with her in the woods. There is this one animal attack that I thought, okay, I did not see that coming. That's all right. Okay. I didn't hate this. I didn't like it. I didn't think any of the kills were very interesting at all. I didn't think that it sustained tension particularly well. Richard Brake is in it, not enough, but I love him. I know that's a face. You're like, oh, nothing good has happened to this guy right now. They throw a lot of additional characters at you, and I think what the movie is trying to do is to develop a mythology to explain why the strangers showed up and asked, is Tamara home? And for me, I always find that disappointing, because killers are scarier when you don't know why they're doing it, when you just don't know. And so but sequels, what are you going to do now? Right. Either you're just going to see these people doing the same thing again and again and again, or you're going to try to tell why they're doing it. So it's a tough place to be, but I don't think Rennie Harlan is doing it very well. He's not doing it, I suppose, horribly. The movie looks okay. The performances are fine. There was that animal attack part that I liked, but it's barely 90 minutes long, and I never look at my phone in a movie theater, and I just kept going, I kind of want to look at my phone right now. So it's a big pass for me.
But Die Hard 2, The Long Kiss Goodnight. Still love you, Rennie. And that is on Chapter 2, which Means there'll probably be a chapter
Yes.
3.
Oh, well, yeah, there has to be in one of the most disappointing moments in a film full of disappointing moments, I would say. Yes, they're planning on a 3rd.
A thriller in theaters next. A woman traveling alone through snowbound northern Minnesota interrupts the kidnapping of a teenage girl. Hours from the nearest town and with no phone service, she realizes that she is the young girl's only hope in dead of winter.
I don't want to see snow right now, but if someone is going to make me say, okay, it's Emma Thompson and Judy Greer.
Judy Greer.
If 2 someones are going to make me, it's the 2 of them.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's an exciting idea to have those 2 people be the antagonist protagonist in one movie, like the 2 main characters in a movie, and not like any movie, not like a period drama, like an actual horror thriller. A thriller. It's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a thriller, an action thriller. And it's just so well made. Thompson also executive produces, and it's a pretty slight, as a lot of these movies are, where you find yourself in a position where you're going to have to Liam Neeson up or somebody's going to die, and that is where Emma Thompson finds herself. Minnesota. Oh, and she's got that adorable accent. As she can master.
Of course
she can. And she's a perfect Minnesotan because she's a big person. She seems hardy enough, there's not an ounce of vanity to her, and she gets into her old pickup truck to head to Lake Hilda, because she's going to do some ice fishing, and she gets a little turned around because there's a terrible snowstorm. Why would she be going in a terrible snowstorm? Well, they're going to let you know that little by little, and the sort of nice, a little bit too cloying B story, but it gives you some backstory on Barb, because of course her name is Barb. And so she asks, and it's Mark Menchaca. The villains don't have character names. Nobody gets chummy with the villain, so we don't know their names. So he's just the bearded villainous guy. And you'll know his face. He's a really solid character actor. He does a great job with this. And one of the things I loved about this movie was that nobody's one-dimensional. And the film lacks cynicism in a way that films like this never do. It's so Minnesotan. It's so in keeping with Barb's character, the way the entire film plays out. And it's very, the cinematography makes the most of this sort of isolating, terrifying situation that she finds herself in, but she's just going to buckle up and get it done.
Because, as you know, what really pops on the white snow?
Red
blood. Really pops.
It does. It really does. Yeah. And then so Judy Greer doesn't show up for probably about at least a half an hour into this movie. And she is one of the most, this is at least the 3rd, if not the 4th Judy Greer movie we've seen this year. She's always great, brilliant actor. But she's in so many films, it's hard to say she's playing against type because she has played every imaginable type.
She really has, yeah.
She's playing against type here.
Nice.
I also love that without hammering you over the head, these characters all have backstories, and they're not just, it's not whatever it is you think it is that they've kidnapped this girl. That's not what it is. And her performance is so unnerving and authentic. And the little details about the set design and about her performance are so spot on that you are really pulled into this movie. Like you believe it. Whereas, when was the last time you believed a Liam Neeson movie? Like, oh yeah, this is totally going to happen. Like you don't, but you buy this one. And I just, if for no other reason than the showcase of these 2 unbelievable talents, it's very much worth seeing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And yeah, a good action thriller. You betcha.
You betcha.
You betcha. Minnesota. And that is Dead of Winter. And it's in theaters. Yeah, it's in theaters now.
Yep.
And in theaters and Apple TV, a stirring near-futuristic romance of 2 best friends who harbor an unspoken love for one another, even after a test matches one of them up with their supposed soulmate. It's All of You.
Yeah, this one was interesting. It's from a filmmaker, William Bridges, and who apparently has done this same setup with episodic TVs that I was not aware of. But it stars Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso, I think.
Yeah.
Most people will know him from Ted Lasso. And then Imogen Poots.
Yeah. I always love her.
Oh yeah,
She's great in everything.
And this is as the synopsis says, it's a near future where you can have a test done that will scientifically tell you who your soulmate is.
That's right.
Yeah. And these two characters, Brett and Imogene, they're not together romantically. They're longtime besties.
Right.
They're just good, solid friends. And he goes with her as she goes and has the test done, and then finds out who her soulmate is. And it's just so nice that her soulmate turns out to be a handsome man her same age.
Wow, that is lucky.
If it turned out to be this 85-year-old dude, oh well, too bad. But anyway, maybe I'm nitpicking. The funny thing about this movie was, and it's totally fine, and the two performances, very good, and the writing, everything. It's just, to me, especially maybe because I am not aware of these other episodes where it appears he has visited this setup before. It was interesting to me how little that setup had to do with the rest of the movie, because you can probably guess where this is going.
Yeah.
Like in so many romantic dramas or romantic comedies, romantic fantasies, are these two best friends destined to be together romantically? You can probably guess. How much of that has to do with this thing about soulmates? Not a whole lot, because sure, she's promised to someone else because, well, the test said so, but that could be, she could be married. I mean, it's very little of it, which I found interesting. Doesn't make it a bad movie. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not really blazing any trails or saying anything new that you would think when I read the synopsis and realized what they were doing, I think there would be more of a comment that brings that catalyst into play.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. And there's a couple of moments here or there where they bring it up again, but for a long stretch, it's just kind of forgotten about. And it's just another one of those where these two friends are trying to get around the fact that maybe we should be together. Nothing wrong with those stories, especially when they're well acted and pretty well written. That was the only surprise to me. But if you're familiar with this guy and his work, with this series, you probably want to check it out. If you're not, I think you'll find it totally enjoyable. It just won't be something that, wow, that's a profound statement that I haven't heard before.
Do you know, I think that it bears unfavorable comparisons to The Lobster, for example, which was looking at this idea of soulmates in such a brilliant, bizarre, and new way. Mm-hmm. But then even somewhat similarly to this, from a couple of years ago, Fingerprints with Riz Ahmed and Jessie Buckley. That and well, those are two unbelievable talents right there. But it was very much about this test and how people believed it, even though evidence told them that the test was wrong. And I think that it differentiated it from other love stories in a way that this movie does not. Yeah,
I think there's obvious reasons why we're seeing the rise of those technology taking over our lives, and so a comment on, don't let that happen. Maybe this test is telling you should be with this person. Well, maybe the test isn't right. Maybe technology is not what you should base your life around.
Maybe love is messy.
Maybe love is messy. I get all that. And it's not a bad movie. It's not at all. It just surprised me how much of that, how little it had to do with it. But two good performances. We don't watch Ted Lasso, but I've heard great things.
Only ever great things on it.
And the two of these, Goldstein and Poots, have really good chemistry. Really good chemistry, and you will root for them. You will, and so if you like these type of romantic, it's not a comedy. There are amusing lines and everything.
Just a romance.
Yeah, just a romance. I think it fits the bill totally. But don't expect some sort of futuristic metaphor that makes some grand statement, because it really doesn't. Just that device just kind of gives it a little nudge.
Yeah,
gives the story a little nudge, and that's fine. But yeah, it's perfectly fine, a romance fantasy, and that is All of You. I think, is that a day and date as well, or it's in some theaters?
It is in some theaters right now, and it's also on Apple TV.
On Apple TV, so we got a couple of those. Yeah. But All of You, you can check that out. What else? Oh man, well the Schlocketeer are taking the week off, and we've got a load. A load.
Yeah.
We are not saying that we're going to get to all of these, but we're going to try.
We are going to try.
Led by hearing great things about the performances alone in the Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt.
Yes. Yeah, and then also Bone Lake.
Ooh, yeah. Also, Good Boy.
Oh, yeah,
The
cannot
horror
wait for that.
film from a dog's point of view.
Cannot wait.
It's about time.
We have it right now to watch, and we might watch it in the next second. Also, Shell, which is Elizabeth Moss. Always want to see anything she's doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
She doesn't take many breaks.
She doesn't.
Also, one called Steve.
Yeah,
Hey,
with
Steve.
Killian.
Killian Murphy?
Yeah, another great performer.
Oh, yeah, for
always.
sure.
So that'll be great. Coyotes. I'm looking forward to that one.
The new one in the VHS series, VHS Halloween. Actually, just watched this,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll talk about it next week.
We know for sure we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
And then also A Savage Art.
Oh, we missed Killing Faith
Oh, we did. Killing Faith. Plain Clothes.
and The Ice Tower.
Yeah,
Will we get to all of those?
we won't.
Will we have a 5-star alarm by then? If any of
Ooh.
those should happen to fit the bill, I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. But in the meantime, we'll have to talk about this week, especially One Battle After Another. I'll tell you what, that's a film. In fact, we've already heard from somebody, a friend of ours, who's going to come visit here in a few weeks, who also reviews films, said, I can't wait to talk to you about One Battle After Another, because it's one of those movies that you,
Yeah.
you want to talk
You want to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to, hey, keep the conversation going. You can find us easily, MaddWolf Columbus, on all the socials. Also, of course, right here on YouTube, MaddWolf.com is the main website. And you can always check out our other horror movie only podcast. Getting to spooky season.
That's right.
For us, it's always
It's
spooky
always spooky
season,
season,
but
yeah.
we're even more so. Fright Club is our other podcast you can check out. So, yeah, lots of ways to check in. Hope you will. You're having a great early fall. And until next time, next week, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.